you really have to travel to the other side of the world to find a Jewish community facing harassment? Sadly, that is not the case. In America, in New York, just moments from New York City, past the Tappan Zee Bridge, the Orthodox Jewish community lives under constant fear, facing harassment and intimidation. Black to black, code word for black.
The population of the Hasidic Jewish communities in Rockland and Orange counties is exploding these days, but the changes also bring some growing pains for their neighbors.
For the past year and a half, we visited the Rockland community of Ramapo many times. The locals were eager to share their views. The Hasidics were not. It was very difficult to enter their world, even though I myself am Jewish. Still, it was easy to see there is a cultural clash of the strongest magnitude between two very different groups of people. But within this community lies a whole other world, a world few of us really understand or ever get to see. News 12 first began trying to learn more about the insular world of the Hasidic Jews who live here a year and a half ago. But at first, we were met with fierce resistance. Trip after trip, no one would speak to us. And during one visit, someone actually tried to run us off a sidewalk. Whoa, this guy just drove literally into us. It may not be the safest place for us to be right now.
In 20 years, the number one political issue in New York State will be the relationship between the Hasidic community and the outside world in New York.
Lifelong Ramapo resident Robert Rhodes is not the only one who thinks trouble is brewing. In 1961, New Square was born, becoming the nation's first ever Jewish incorporated village. In New Square, the teachings of the Torah dominate every aspect of life. It's not uncommon for the Hasidic men here to pray up to 14 hours a day. The women are so modest, they shave their heads, wear wigs, and walk to the grocery store, since they're forbidden to drive or even ride a bike.
They have their own culture, and they live in that culture. They don't speak with it.
As the Hasidic population began to explode from 4 families to several thousand, so did their needs for housing and schools. So they built them wherever and however they could, often blatantly ignoring local zoning laws and fire code.
It's been hell. I see my property value going downhill.
Annette Dorr lives right next door to one of the estimated 80 illegal yeshivas now operating in Ramapo. Each day she watches, as we did, as dozens of young boys arrive to study their religion in a single-family home.
Every day, 4 buses in, 4 buses out. We get to hear the diesel engines. We get to see, the kids loading, unloading, backing up. They run into the fence, knocks it on our side. It happens every day.
Kind of a natural setup for conflict when you take a 17th, 18th century culture and drop it into the 21st century in suburban Rockland County.
Gordon Wren is Rockland's Director of Emergency Services. While improvements are being made, he says there is still much work to be done.
On the old construction, we still have a long, long way to go.
During a ride-along in New Square, we would see firsthand the astonishing number of buildings at risk.
When buildings are this close together, how easy it is for a fire to spread from one to the next.
New Square uses its own fire brigade to knock out fires instead of calling 911.
I think it's irresponsible to respond to fires without the equipment and training. That's the bottom line.
Naturally, we wanted to give New Square officials the chance to respond, so we literally tried for 1 full year, making phone calls and multiple trips here to Village Hall, but each time we were turned away. Is it okay for me to be speaking with you?
No.
Okay. I did, however, eventually contact Yossi Gestetner.
Some communities surrounding the Jewish communities are very against changing zoning laws to accommodate the growth of the Jewish community. As a result, the Jewish community tries sticking to, let's say, within certain sections of Ramapo, and they build atop each other. Sometimes debates get heated because this is the nature of debates, And sometimes there are people out there who fan the flames. Many of these, cultural differences and racist and anti-Semitic things are sometimes blown out of proportion.
Vacant and for sale, someone is concerned about who might move in.
On the wall was spray painted in large lettering, no Jews.
The vandal or vandals came from the backyard, the wooded area over here. They marked up the back of the house with their spray paint here and over here too, and entered through the basement. You can see the broken window there. The message they had was clearly for a serious buyer.
It's despicable. All North Rockland, they're worried about what's going on with this, the culture group coming in.
Ultra-Orthodox Jewish communities to the south have had issues with underfunded public education and building and fire inspections. Baruch Wiener was inspecting the home on Tuesday for an Orthodox Jewish buyer when he discovered the graffiti.
How does it make you feel?
It was probably done by a young kid that didn't think what he's doing.
The town supervisor and the head of Rockland's United Jewish Federation are far less charitable.
Hate speech is hate speech. And if it's aimed at one population today, it will be aimed at another population tomorrow.
There have been incidents in New City, Ramapo, and Pearl River, now Haverstraw, a deeply troubling trend.
Here we are on Memorial Day weekend, and we're talking about somebody who really is discriminating against a race when we had a whole generation of men who went out and fought a war against this type of fascist attitude.
In the town of Ramapo by hate mongers of the worst in Rockland County. I would like to single out Alan Jaffe in an op-ed in the Journal News dated August 28, 2018. She starts out with, quote, "My job is to listen to those I serve." It goes on to describe, since in her mind, this particular project will only serve one group. Namely, Jews in Ramapo. She then must oppose it. She was implying. Her hate and hypocrisy knows no bounds and is in full display in a single op-ed. She will listen to those she serves so long they are not Jews from Ramapo. Yesterday was a great day for people in the state of New York. A Supreme Court justice threw out the undemocratic equivalency law by the state education department that were put into place by the instigation of Nicholas Moster, a one-man organization called Yafet. Here I have his report, his bogus report. In a very symbolic way, we're going to burn this report. It's unwanted.
Yafet. He's the face of it.
She is Yafet.
The controversy over whether the state should enforce a law requiring private schools like yeshivas to teach some secular subjects sparked unintended bickering and debate in Rockland County today.
The anti-Semite of Rockland County.
Name-calling and finger-pointing right outside the Rockland County Courthouse Friday. Today's hotly debated topic, whether the state should adopt new regulations enforcing the law that requires private schools like yeshivas to provide some secular education to students.
Many yeshivas right here, just a few miles from here, can barely be called schools because they teach so little, if any, secular education.
The yeshivas do provide a secular education.
Both sides of the debate showing up at an event with local lawmakers held by YAFED, short for Young Advocates for Fair Education.
The fact that we have tens of thousands of children not getting an education is a serious problem, but it's also a human rights violation because these children grow up totally ill-prepared for the workforce. They can't pursue higher education.
In my opinion, Nicholas Moster is perpetrating the biggest lie in the state of New York.
County Legislator Aaron Weeder, who is not part of the event, says he opposes the proposed regulations. But parents of local yeshiva students say they're worried their children are not getting an education that will prepare them for work, let alone life outside the Hasidim.
It has to do with the demise of a school district as we know it. We're talking about an absolute power grab that has caused us to take apart the special ed department, to take transportation apart, purchasing, now the lawyers, the administrators would be next, and the power of 5 votes is not fair to destroy the potential of this community. Here's the most unique community in the state of New York. And just from raw power, selfishness, and it's about control. To take control without any resistance is not why we're in this business. And these students deserve more, they deserve better. This is a declaration of war, and if you want that, this community is being taken apart, and we don't need that.
Almost all the registrants are coming in from Guatemala, El Salvador, and Ecuador. None of them speak English.
But the southern border.
They're coming through the southern border. They want free lunch, breakfast, and whatever else they can get.
Before you consider any of these cuts, so that you can afford other things like, let's say, hire ridiculously priced lawyers with state credentials. And these Ramapo schools are circuses. Please think again.
To your term staying credentials. I graduated from an Ivy League college myself, sir, and I don't remember anybody coming up with as ignorant a statement as you just made. You know nothing about it. If you want to challenge my reputation, do it to me personally.
Are you threatening me?
No, I'm telling you. I am not a stained lawyer, and I won't take it from anybody, including a Frenchman yelling. You're showing your ignorance.
Excuse me, sir, you need to respect.
You don't like it, find yourself another place to live. Because this is the United States of America.
You're still smirking at me, please.
Oh, will you please shut up, for Christ's sake.
You really need to get out. You need to get out. You need to dismiss him.
If I want to, I'll laugh if I want to.
You need to dismiss him. That is totally inappropriate.
I'll just sit here with my smirk.
He actually came back to do that, to talk to me. All I want to say is that you need to do something to communicate with our parents in this school district. We need newsletters. Stop!
You should stand up right now.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be standing up right now.
Sit there and treat me like that. When I am not attacking anybody, I'm telling you what a good job the teachers are doing. And you sit there And our kids are failing.
Unbelievable.
I'm done. You gonna laugh at me next?
I cannot believe this board is allowing
You need to adjourn. He needs to be fired. He needs to be fired. They're incompetent, and you're incompetent for letting them do the job. Thank you, gentlemen.
Still smirking.
Oh, you are a disgusting person.
And you're still an asshole.
Wanna call me an asshole now, huh? I already did. Oh, did you? You fucking cocksucker? Huh?
Who are you hiding behind? Your paycheck? Shut up,
Come on. Cunt.
Don't tell. You just. Okay, that one. Don't let him.
That's it. That's it. Fuck you, you fucking bitch. I'm sitting there with a smirk. Fuck you. I can sit there. They're paying me to sit there. I work for the board, not for you. Chris.
Listen, my daughter's in this school, and she means a great deal to me. You and Mr. Solomon sat up there playing with your BlackBerry. I'm quite sure if my black face was sitting over your Jewish kids in your community, making decisions on their life and their well-being, and you see me sitting out playing with my phone, you'd be gathering the rabbis together to get rid of me. If you're not interested in our children, you should remove yourself from that seat. Because what you're telling me indirectly is that you don't care about my children or the other children of this district, and that's a problem.
You had the end of your testimony, you had quoted or paraphrased the former commissioner of codes, saying that we're prevented from doing our job. What do you think he meant by that? Prevented by who?
Well, I asked that, and the first time I heard it was in 2003 when Roy Scott, who was the commissioner before him, said that we were being prevented by the second floor. I didn't know what the second floor meant. And I found out that it was the governor's office, apparently. That's how it's referred to in state government, second floor. This commissioner wasn't the only one that told me that. Other department heads have told me the same thing, that they are being prevented from doing their jobs. I've had commissioners apologize to me and say, we know you're right, but we're being prevented. The attorneys for the Secretary of State's office have told us we can't go into this community. We can't take action.
Can you give me a synopsis, in your professional opinion, of the monitor's work?
She's a friend. However, the only time she really spoke to me this whole time that she was at as a monitor was on the local radio station. I or someone else on the radio said, we believe she's drinking Ramapo's Kool-Aid. And she was very angry about that. That was my pretty much only interaction with her as a monitor. And I find that strange, since we were the ones out in the field seeing this and filing the complaints. And by the way, I might add, there were a group of women in the state education department. I call them women of valor. There was one woman who was in charge, and they came out in the field, found deplorable conditions in our private schools, really bad conditions, took photographs, took them back, and they actually got in trouble for this. Our district attorney at the time had to go to bat for this woman to make sure she didn't get fired. And they have a codes expert, he's an architect, he agreed, but wouldn't come forward. And the state of New York is still subsidizing schools that have dangerous conditions in them.
My final question is, if there's one or two things that you believe after today that we should be doing, legislatively or otherwise, what, in your professional opinion, would those one or two items be?
Well, I think we do need some additional legislation, but I think what I said a few minutes ago, there is I don't know if it's organized, but your departments are being, and I can't tell you how many commissioners have told me this over and over, they're being told they can't do their jobs. Turn them loose. Let them use their good judgment and their training, and let them do what's right.
Thank you.
It's hard to believe this Shangri-La is in the suburbs just north of New York City.
This house is built to the contour of the land.
Every inch of landscape designer Roger Worley's 5-acre property in Airmont, Rockland County, a testament to tranquility.
The door came from India, from a temple in India.
But he worries his paradise is about to become paradise lost.
It's not against the religion. It's against the way these people are what they're doing to the neighborhood. 3 neighboring properties have been bought for a proposed ultra-Orthodox school. The access would come off this rural country road with no shoulder. Across the street, a proposed community mikveh, a ritual bath.
They're talking about putting 61 parking spaces at the mikveh, 6 pools, 45 changing rooms.
Heather Federico is the head of Coupon in Mahwah, New Jersey, which borders Airmont. Coupon is an acronym for Citizens United to Protect Our Neighborhoods.
This whole neighborhood would change completely.
She has spent months filing Freedom of Information requests to get plans and permits for properties along Hillside Avenue, often running into roadblocks from the town of Ramapo.
It's terrible. They don't tell you anything. They try to either drown you in paperwork or give you that paperwork that makes absolutely no sense.
We found the same obstacles. Senator James Skoufis issued a report earlier this month that's highly critical of Ramapo's building permit process.
The town of Ramapo's problems are particularly egregious.
This is where it starts. This is one of the buildings that would be torn down.
Gordon Wren and Michael Miller are the founders of Coupon Inc. The organization is currently suing to stop a multi-unit condominium project on this 1-acre site in Hillcrest.
Allowing the extremely dense housing to spread into right now, basically one family residential area is just wrong.
Coupon now has 12 affiliates in Rockland and Orange County. Coupon representatives recently met with residents in Ocean County, New Jersey, who are interested in forming a group there.
So you have to find out what your town ordinance is.
They say what's happened in Lakewood Township is a prime example of the problem.
It's almost like lawlessness. You know, the law only applies to certain people and doesn't apply to others.
Just bringing traffic, quality of life is just becoming unbearable.
There's always going to be an excuse for hate, for people who want to hate. Today it's overdevelopment.
Michael Cohen is the East Coast director of the Simon Wiesenthal Center.
There are a lot of places where development is happening and where populations are changing. But the target communities that they're using are only the Jewish communities right now.
Cohen believes Coupon isn't doing enough to separate its cause from haters who post vicious anti-Semitic rhetoric on social media.
So you believe that they're encouraging hate?
Well, they're certainly not discouraging it.
If they come forth with anti-Semitism or anti-any race, religion, or creed, they will be excluded from a coupon.
Hilda Kogut is the chair of the Chestnut Ridge Coupon.
I'm Jewish and I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm not. It's not about anti-Semitism. It's about what's right. It's about following the laws.
Roger Worley points out he too is Jewish.
It's not a question that I have any objection to a Hasidic family next to me. It's if they kept it looking the same way and respected all the zoning laws and everything, that would be fine, but they don't.
Figure out who targeted a local legislator with hateful flyers. This is the latest twist in an increasingly ugly debate over what some say is lawless overdevelopment and others say is just an excuse for anti-Semitism.
Clarkstown police are taking this very seriously. They've stepped up patrols here and at the home of the county legislator who was targeted. We spotted several bags on lawns and in driveways before homeowners in this New City neighborhood had the chance to pick them up. Some wrapped in blue paper, others in a clear package with Star of David logos.
Walked out to the driveway, saw the bag right in this area here, walked up, grabbed the bag, opened it up, saw 3 rusty nails and saw the rolled up piece of paper, and I obviously zoned in immediately on the word Nazi and knew it wasn't good.
Inside, along with the nails, a flyer that accuses local county legislator Lori Santulli of using Nazi language to oppose high-density housing in Rockland.
Do you consider this a message of hate?
I do.
Would you consider this a hate crime?
100%. 100%. It labels me as a Nazi.
Santulli says just before she was flagged about the flyers, she received an even more disturbing private message with a picture of Hitler holding a gun to his head and the words, "Follow your leader."
To have someone want you to have to kill yourself and then to relate you to Hitler it's sad, it's scary.
But the rancorous rhetoric in Rockland is increasing. A day before the anti-Santulli packages surfaced, there was widespread condemnation over a local Republican Party video posted on Facebook that warned of a Hasidic voting bloc led by legislator Aaron Reeder, allegedly trying to take over Rockland. Santulli, a Republican, says she had nothing to do with the video. Weeder has publicly called her out and other critics of overdevelopment, labeling some as hate mongers.
You're the anti-Semite of Rockland County.
Sarah, if it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, in all likelihood it is a duck. And you should be calling it a duck.
Weeder is adamant he wasn't aware of the flyers, which are now being examined by Clarkstown police.
It's terrible what I see here. That is certainly terrible to anonymously make flyers and, put it out on people's lawn. But we're talking about the freedom of speech. We're talking about what makes America great.
To call somebody a Nazi, is that what makes America great?
What makes America great is freedom of speech.
Do you think this is designed to intimidate you?
100%. 100%.
And?
Nope. Nope.
All of this.
So it's in the statistics that attacks, anti-Semitic attacks in New York State, but also nationally, have increased in recent months and years. Why? What do you blame this on?
I think that social media is a big part of it. Social media, you can post whatever you want under any assumed name and not get called out by it. And the posts are horrible. Like even after the stabbing in Rockland County in one of the local Facebook groups, somebody wrote that the guy didn't stab enough of those Jews, that he should have stabbed more. We had an incident about a year ago and somebody posted that Hitler didn't put enough Jews in the oven.
Governor Andrew Cuomo said on this network earlier this morning that he's considering categorizing these attacks as domestic terrorism. Would something like that make a difference? And if not, what do you want to see?
But I believe social media there needs to be some type of regulation, just as you have, on CNN and the newspapers, that if somebody, wants to write you or you want to write an op-ed, there's a background check, to make sure what you're saying is true. Facebook, now you can say whatever you want and it doesn't matter. So there has to be something that needs to be done to hold these Facebook groups and these administrators and the people that post accountable, not to say when we call them out, oh, we don't monitor our Facebook group. And that's, I believe, a big reason of what's going on.
I think the big issue that we may have, the people say we need to call out anti-Semitism, or social media companies should control content, or maybe even the government should censor content. The problem is that people then say, it's not anti-Semitism. I'm only talking about taxes. I'm only talking about development. I'm only talking about private school. Now, on its face, it's not anti-Semitism. But when we have here in Rockland County, the largest political group, it's named Clarkstown, What They Don't Want You to Know. It's the largest Facebook group, and there are officials in this room whose supporters and activists and staff members comment there, share on that page. Every post on that page, almost every post, is about Hasidim, and this is how it works. Everything about Hasidim is wrong, and everything wrong in Rockland County is about Hasidim. I know you want to be, an elected official on the state level and say that everyone in this room is nice. I'm not going to call out names. I'm not even going to look at politicians whom I intend with these words. But here's the challenge to those politicians. You have hundreds of photos on your Facebook page going to this community and that community. I challenge you to show me one stupid photo of you attending an event in the Hasidic community. We are being dehumanized by you, and you know who you are by simply not showing up. Don't tell me that, not you, I'm talking to them by looking at you. All right, that's good. Don't tell me that, they're in this room expressing support after the attack. First of all, some of them didn't even show up yet to the rabbi's house who live in this county. Okay, that's number one. And number two, don't show up after the attack. You can stay home and send out your part of the statement, as they would call it, which is not meat and not dairy, somewhere in the middle. You can keep, you can tweet that statement. But year round, when you run around all to these sweet, cute events, I want to see you in this community. And not be in this community and hide. Post the photos on your page. I met today with Hasidic leaders. And you know what? Going to Chabad once a year because you think that the bigots whose vote you want don't know the difference between Chabad and Hasidic, that is going to cut it. We're here at the Hanukkah menorah. Stay home at Hanukkah menorah. Prepare your Christmas gifts. We don't need that. We have organizations. We have non-profit groups. And the largest political page in this county, Clarkstown, What They Don't Want You to Know, presents every problem in this county about Hasidim and everything about Hasidim wrong. All of you can take out your phones now, go onto the page. Almost every post is about Hasidim. They're quiet for the past week. I don't know why, but everything. If they don't have news about, I'm done, almost done. And they don't have, it's 5 years of fear and terror and hatred. And while everyone's saying, no, it's just about development. But of course, if you want to develop here in Clarkstown, no one gives a damn. It's only when you want to develop a Ramapo. Then there's, look at the problems at yeshivas. Well, has anyone looked at the problems in public schools? 50% students in public schools, grades 3 to 8, fail in math and English, costing taxpayers $22,000 a year. All the yeshivas are sucking the system. I can go on for hours. But the point is, I'm talking to lawmakers who are sitting here in this room on a state level. Don't pass any legislation about hate groups. Leave the laws as they are. Freedom of speech is what the Jewish community needs to thrive. I don't need any legislation, and your job requirements that the AG just gave you, I'm going to cut it in half. Forget it. What we need to do is elected officials. One thing. The Orthodox community in Rockland County has 65,000 people. This county has 330,000, so we're a large community. Start showing up at our events. Start being in this community. Post the photos. Show that we are not dehumanized. Show that we are part of the community. This is all that I'm asking. Thank you.
Answer your question.
Sure.
I'm referring to a webpage. What is that webpage?
Clarkstown, What They Don't Want You to Know.
What's the Facebook?
It's a Facebook page. Yes.
What is it called?
Clarkstown, What They Don't Want You to Know. And probably.
Clarkstown, What They Do Not Want You to Know.
Yeah. We are the they.
We're the they.
You want to fix the anger? Do your jobs.
Scott McGee, Rockland County officials now calling for action today after a passionate meeting among legislators last night that brought out hundreds of people and plenty of anger.
You want to fix the anger? Do your jobs.
A fiery meeting Tuesday of the Rockland County Legislature. More than 200 people attending, with hundreds more wanting to get inside.
We need to rule what it is, and it's overdevelopment.
Overdevelopment, the big concern, along with allegations that people are anti-Semitic because they oppose development in Ramapo, which is primarily happening among the Hasidic community.
I am tired of living in this county being called an anti-Semitic when my family is Jewish.
The next day,
What people did last night, they showed the entire county what the issue is.
County Executive Ed Day calling the legislative session a success.
This is not about anti-Semitism. This is about overdevelopment.
Day telling News 12 the county can only do so much to fight overdevelopment, since state law gives municipalities almost all control.
I would be in favor now of giving even authority to the county planning department. So when we say no, it's no.
Back inside, people telling legislators they're not doing enough to stop overdevelopment. Many Tuesday blamed county legislator Aaron Weeder, saying he uses anti-Semitism as an excuse to allow overdevelopment.
We're all here now, Legislator Weeder. Look at all the cameras back there. Look at all of them. The eyes of the nation are on us because of you.
Amazing day for Rockland County. People are, to a great degree, they're fed up with a lot of things they're seeing.
County Executive Ed Day is referring to the large turnout at the county legislative meeting on Tuesday, where many people voiced their concerns for the county. 1 week ago, a video posted by the Rockland Republican Party, which was viewed by many as anti-Semitic, talked about overdevelopment in the county, insinuating that the Hasidic Jewish community was trying to take over. Governor Andrew Cuomo and Attorney General Letitia James both condemned the video. Ed Day says the video is factual, but he doesn't like the way those facts were presented.
Do you think the Hasidic community is somehow taking over Rockland?
I think there is unbridled development going on. In some respects, it is for the housing needs of the ultra-Orthodox community. That's a fact. And it's not a religious observation, it's a reality.
Many of those who voiced their opinion during the county legislative meeting declared they are not anti-Semitic. They fear overdevelopment in the county. Pete Bradley, a Clarkstown councilman, is responsible for rallying people together on Tuesday and says this conversation shouldn't be about religion.
Everyone out there to set the record straight on who we are, why we're angry, and have it videotaped and recorded for permanent history to make sure everyone knows that we are not a county of bigots, anti-Semites, and Nazis.
Some of the neighborhoods that are getting overrun are where we have Orthodox Jews living already. We've had a number of them I've spoken to personally. I've been at their homes. They're looking at development going on their streets. And what they're objecting to is they're in a residential suburban street and they see a monstrosity going up down the block.
My name is Michael Holland. I live in Pearl River. Last week, Naftali Moster held a press conference in secular education. The event was hijacked by legislator Weeder, who repeatedly uttered the word shame, shame. Weeder engaged in two public outbursts against me. One wit remarked, Weeder hands out anti-Semitic accusations against me faster than Oprah Winfrey used to hand out Pontiacs. Yesterday, Weeder suggested that flyers insinuating that Mrs. Fantulli was a follower of Hitler, she should shoot herself in the head or be crucified, was the type of free speech that makes America great. Well, I don't know which America Weeder thinks he is living in, but I suggest that his understanding of free speech goes beyond ignorance to stupidity. Each of you received a deceitful communication from Weeder explaining his behavior and repeatedly referring to me as Rockland's anti-Semite. Weeder wrote, and I quote, I was in the midst of a conversation with Assemblywoman Jaffe when Hull approached me and slapped me twice on the back. Legislators, I was walking away from the event when I heard shouts by Weeder of Hull, anti-Semite. I turned and walked back. Assemblywoman Jaffe has authorized me to tell you the following. I did not see you slap Legislator Weeder. You came over in a friendly manner. To me, you were someone coming up and being kind to someone else. Finally, Legislator Weeder ended his communication to you as fellow legislators by saying he remains a proud Jew. I know of no proud Jew that takes pride in being deceitful. Shame on you legislators for refusing to censure him.
We're all here now, Legislator Weeder. Look at all the cameras back there. Look at all of them. The eyes of the nation are on us because of you, okay? You wanted to keep doing this parlor trick, calling Rockland County residents, including myself, including Mr. Hull and others, anti-Semites. Well, now the eyes of the nation are watching what this is really about. No one is concerned with anyone's religion. They are concerned of the undue political influence of the Hasidic bloc vote. They are concerned with the public corruption that gets turned out of the town of Ramapo, probably the most corrupt town in the entire nation. We are now in a crossroads for the future of this county. We can no longer afford for politicians, including you folks in the back row, who have continually allowed this to go on. You've been challenged in the New York State Education Department about the illegal indoctrination of Hasidic youth. We cannot continue to just churn out children that can't read, can't speak English, can't add, can't do anything with the American economy when they get out of this quote-unquote high school. We are at the point where we have a parlor trick done by you folks in the back row again, the legislature. You have a whole resolution submitted by Legislator Santulli to condemn the behavior thrown at Mr. Hull with the wagging of the finger, and you decided to do a parlor trick, which is you're going to bring up, but you decided not to read in front of the public, which I think is a shame. You should have read that whole resolution that you're going to do, which is basically condemn the entire county of Rockland as anti-Semitic, based on a video that none of us had any part in creating, and none of us are here to speak about it. We're here to speak about what's going on in Rockland County. This is a hate game to try to get out of what Mr. Weeder's done to this county. I'm done. Thank you.
I have a love for all people. One of the challenges that I'm having is that I came to Rockland County over 30 years ago so that my children could go to school. In 2006 and 2008, there were people closing up our schools, taking over, said they were going to take over the Ramapo district. And now we don't even have a place to live for people with low incomes like I have. Because I tried to get in one of the buildings down on Livingston's side, and I was turned away. I was told that I was not allowed to come in there. The little boy said, my mommy's in charge. When they found out who I was turned away. Where do I go for low home rental? I need some place to do what I need to do to be a living human being in this society, whether I'm handicapped or not. I need low income, and everything is being brought up and taken over by people who are building these massive buildings and letting no one else in. I can't even find an office to go to even apply for housing. That's not right. Every time I'm always told that we're not allowed fair housing. Why not? Where is it going? If everybody else is taking up these housing, where are we supposed to go? That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Rockland County is my home. I've called Rockland home since 1993 when I married my wonderful wife, Sarah, who was born and raised right here in Rockland County. Rockland is also a loving home where I raise my children. Rockland is a great and wonderful, diverse suburban county. After World War II, many Holocaust survivors trekked up the Hudson and settled right here in Rockland County. The overwhelmingly vast majority of Rocklanders are exceptional, tolerant, and wonderful, wonderful people. I would like to thank my fellow Rocklanders who have reached out in the past few days, both publicly and privately, to express their support. While some would like you to believe that a storm is coming, I am here today to tell you that the sun is shining as bright as ever and will continue to shine on our beautiful and diverse county, Rockland County.
Police investigating tonight after a controversial campaign sign attacking the so-called Ramapo Mafia was ripped up and torn down.
It's more than just a sign. You're trying to send a message. You're trying to silence people.
You can't miss it when you drive down River Road in Grandview on Hudson. Two giant 30-foot-long campaign signs for Rockland County legislator candidate James Foley, both that say confronting the Ramapo Mafia. But one of those signs pulled down and ripped up sometime Sunday night.
I consider it pretty disgusting that someone would come to my home and disturb my family and destroy my property.
And who would do that, Foley guesses, is likely someone who supports the Ramapo Mafia, or what he says is an organized crime chain of local leaders and residents who allow the overdevelopment that many say has overtaken the town of Ramapo.
They're just putting up more and more housing. They're building on wetlands. They're really ignoring the fact that Rockland County doesn't want that.
And that's why Foley says he's running as a Republican for the district county seat 17. If elected in November, Foley says his mission will be to fight mafia members like Ramapo Town Supervisor Michael Specht and anyone else who, quote, thwarts the zoning laws. Meanwhile, police say they're investigating the crime and the damage to the $250 signs, as well as to Foley's family. We reached out to Town of Ramapo Supervisor Michael Specht, but he says he has no comment on the idea of alleged Ramapo Mafia.
On a 30-year-old Hasidic man on the way to synagogue early in the morning, attacked, beaten, stabbed in critical condition in Rockland County, in Muncie, New York. Muncie, New York, Rockland County has become a hotbed of anti-Semitism, of hate. Most of the people indulging in it are people who wear suits and ties. They're even elected officials, people with responsibility, leaders in the community. You have Ed Day, the Republican county executive of that area, who recently in an election put out a video that literally Goebbels from Nazi Germany would have been proud with the message of scapegoating the Hasidic Jewish community of Rockland County. That words have repercussions, that when respectable, proper people indulge in hatred, indulge in scapegoating Jews, that there may be people out there who are going to take the law into their hands. They're going to go out and beat on a Jew, stab a Jew, cause pain to a Jew. Nice, respectable people who think it is okay to hate them. They need to deal with the county executive of Rockland County. He is indulging in anti-Semitism, plain and simple. How does County Executive Day get away with his unadulterated anti-Semitism that he's been indulging in for a long time? It is outrageous and it must stop.
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to make one thing clear. As a former police commander, I'm well aware of the capabilities of the Ramapo Police Department and also all the agencies that will help Ramapo PD in getting to the bottom of this. As a county executive, I would just say this. One incident does not define a community. It is critically important also to understand that this gentleman is going through a lot of pain right now, as is his family. It is something that the people of Rockland join in to basically say in one voice that we will not tolerate violence of this nature in any quarter of our county. We condemn it in its loudest terms.
So let's talk about the facts. I'm glad that the media picked up. We don't have fake news in the town of Ramapo, and they do pick up on things happening here. Currently was an election. Regular folks in Rockland County have put out lawn signs and yard signs that said the following. You're not going to believe it for those who were not in Rockland County. Beat the block. Those signs are probably still out there on people's lawns. I'll speak about the facts. The facts are that Orthodox religious Jews in Rockland County have fear, real angst. They fear walking on the streets at times. They fear walking in the shopping malls. That's a fact. How do I know that? Because they're my people. I live amongst themselves. They are my friends, family, wife, and children, and grandchildren. Let's talk about the facts. The facts are that there has been, for a few years since a certain elected official got elected in Rockland County, a systematic hate social media campaign where comments appear as following: those people, they are parasites, and so on and so forth, alluding to the Orthodox Jewish community in Rockland County. So we are so glad that the media is out here, and they're out here for a reason. There are, unfortunately, in our country, many stabbings, many crimes, but we have the media out here in the town of Ramapo on a Wednesday afternoon because an Orthodox Jewish person was attacked, and that's a fact too. Again, I hope and I pray that this individual will make a speedy recovery, come back home to his wife and family, and things will get better, and he will be the last person being attacked in the town of Ramapo. Thank you.
It turns out that new evidence may link the suspect of that Muncie stabbing to a stabbing on a Hasidic man last month. Ramapo Town Supervisor Michael Specht revealing that evidence found inside Grafton Thomas's car could link him to that earlier stabbing. As we have reported, on November 20th, a 30-year-old father of 4 was brutally beaten and stabbed while walking to morning prayers less than 3 miles from where Saturday's attack took place.
Certainly there was evidence that was recovered from the suspect's car that they will look at to see if there was a connection with the earlier attack.
Local officials say Saturday's bloody attack on those 5 members of the Hasidic Jewish community has now changed how they will handle security in that area indefinitely.
They're afraid to be out on the street. They're afraid to even, in this case, be in their home.
Ramapo Town Supervisor Michael Specht, speaking to media after visiting the rabbi's home where Saturday's attack occurred, he says fear among Hasidic Jews has reached new heights and that the town is now changing its security protocol as a result.
Speaking for the security, from the town's point of view, it's not going to go away. The way that things changed after 9/11 and how we viewed the world and what we had to do is changed after Saturday night. So that won't go away.
Also not going away, this mobile command center from private firm Brosnan Security, now parked outside the crime scene. The van is the command center for a fleet of trucks manned with armed guards, all who will now patrol area synagogues. The private security coming free of charge as fear spreads among the community.
It was terrorism. It was a hate crime and it was terrorism. When you attack people and you're trying to hurt or murder a large number of people because of their race or their religion, that is terrorism.
In the coming days, we'll be submitting a proposal for a human rights law, and I look forward to working with the legislature to pass it. Commissioner Frazier will now detail. And with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Commissioner Connie Frazier to the microphone. Connie.
Thank you, County Executive Day, and good afternoon to all. The issues we face here in Rockland County are bigger than any town, any village, or community. During the past decade, there has been a significant escalation in hate crimes, violence, and vandalism on the federal, state, and local level, targeting members of the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community. Unfortunately, this uptick in hate crimes, violence, and vandalism is not exclusive to the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community. Over the next 2 months, I and members of the Human Rights Commission will be meeting with the county legislature, village mayors, town supervisors, state representatives, schools, community leaders, community groups, religious and ethnic groups to hear their needs concerning ideas and recommendations firsthand. We know the 5 town supervisors have announced their own efforts to stamp out hate and promote unity here in Rockland. And we as a commission look forward to working with them in their efforts. I spoke to George Holman yesterday and he's on board. And I look forward to working closely with the county legislature as we proceed with these meetings. Our legislators understand the needs of their respective communities and must increase involvement across Rockland. We will analyze the information we gather from the focus group meetings to develop topics of discussion and strategies for our upcoming yearly Human Rights Symposium. I'm announcing today that the Human Rights Symposium will be held at 6:30 on Wednesday, March 25th in the Cultural Arts Center at Rockland Community College. This is a process that must be driven by the people of Rockland, not anybody else. It must be driven by us. We in government do not have all the answers, but we know who does. We know that this is a county of smart, kind, caring individuals who will help us solve any problem and bridge any divide we face. But this will require compromise, and it's going to take all of us working together to figure it out. Last week, we saw politicians from the federal level who rarely visit Rockland coming here to speak their words of support and condolence. While this is important, it is not enough. The Commission will ask the federal representatives who have visited Senator Chuck Schumer, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Congresswoman Nita Lowey, and Congressman Ellen Engel identify and introduce legislation to address this valid concern of so many about speech on social media. I look forward to seeing all of you at the community strongly represented at the Human Rights Symposium on March 25th. If you have any questions about it, call my office. This is your call to action. This is your chance to help us build bridges and improve our community. We are relying on you, and we must come together as a community, and I know that we will. Thank you.
And I also would like to know the number of hate crimes or incidents that have occurred over the period of time, so that I have a sense of how big is this problem, even though even one person is big enough. I have no idea what we're talking about.
I believe there's been about a 20% uptick, I believe. But
20% of what number?
I don't have those details.
Now all 5 town supervisors are holding a summit next week to do something about. Ramapo Town Supervisor Michael Speck says the summit is the public's chance to voice concerns to all 5 town supervisors and police chiefs. But unlike similar roundtables like this one with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand last month, the goal of the Supervisor Summit is to get people not only to talk to elected officials, but also to talk to each other instead of just spewing hate on social media.
We're really going to try to find a way to get the public to talk to the public instead of shouting past each other to talk to each other. It's horrendous rhetoric that we see on all sides. I think first and foremost, the primary goal was really to kind of look at how we're policing, how we can cooperate with one another.
The town supervisors are tasked with inviting influential members of the public to the summit, which will be held next Thursday afternoon.
I think getting everyone in the room is the first start, because for too long, different communities don't interact.
The Supervisor Summit will take place here at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Montebello next Thursday at 1 in the afternoon.